Hey everybody, this is Christy and Wes again with 180 Digital. We are here today to talk about your website and how websites are actually the new first impression for your business to a client, to your audience, to anyone who's either made contact with you or are looking for you. We kind of look at the website as like the first handshake, the first impression, and how important that first impression is from a digital perspective. So that's an article that we wrote last year, and we thought it'd be good to go through some highlights of it and share it with you a little bit. And yeah, I think some data points is a great place to start because people may not realize how imperative that first impression really is, right, Wes?
Yeah, it's one of those things that we all, even in real life, we all like to make a good first impression. We understand that it can make or break someone's perception of who we are, and that's extremely true for a business. You want to convey that you are trustworthy in every aspect of your business, so you want to do that, especially through, your website. That is the first way that most customers will interact with your business. So doing that, creating that first impression, making sure that it's what you want it to be, and making sure that you are shaping your customers' perception of who you are as a business is crucial, and that begins with your website for sure.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on this, and I come from a marketing background, and so I sort of already knew some of these things, but it was really interesting to get some updated data, which I did link in some of the portions of this post if people want to go check out the data that I added to this post. But why is that? Why is it so important to understand the first impression element of a website? And one of the most shocking data points that I found was that bounce rates universally, no matter what your topic is, no matter what your website is, no matter how popular your website is, bounce rates are still very, very high.
Mhm.
Just universally speaking, Google does publish information on this, and I found that it was between 20 and 65%, which obviously that's a wide range, and it depends on what your niche is. But if you get up to 65, 85% in bounce rates, you're really not outside of the norm of even great websites.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and just so people know, a bounce rate is anytime someone comes to your website and isn't there for more than a few seconds. So Google tracks anything that's over, I believe, 10 seconds. Underneath that, it considers it a bounce.
Mhm. It's one of those things that most people, a lot of people are browsing. They're just looking to see what options are available. Just like people would go to a store, maybe browse through clothes and look real quickly over a bunch of different options and then settle in a little bit about where they want to go. People browse the internet the same way. And so they're going to
Mhm.
land on quite a few websites and they're going to make that decision really quickly about whether it's really what they're looking for or not.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, very much so, people browsing the internet is very similar to how we shop in a lot of different ways. And I always tell people don't freak out about that bounce rate because the reality is a lot of people aren't looking for you, but they will land
Yep.
on your website. But the main thing is you want to capture the people who are looking for you and make sure you, convert those people into leads and hopefully make a sale. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another good point that I found that 80% of all customer research is done online first.
Mhm.
So to your point about shopping, online has definitely become like the first place people go shopping. Most people aren't going into stores, and especially during 2020, people weren't going into stores much. So people have, now really habitually transitioned even more so into the online shopping mentality. And even more interesting, I found that you only have like 50 milliseconds to kind of grab someone's attention
Mhm.
based on data that multiple companies have been doing on how people react to websites and how they react to aesthetically pleasing images. And so it's really interesting because that's
Mhm.
not a lot of time.
No, it's one of those things that people it's ingrained in us, but also our culture has perpetuated
Mhm.
the need to make a decision about something as quickly as possible. And I even say kind of it goes back to our instincts, kind of fight or flight, where we're sizing people up and things up all
Mhm.
the time to determine whether they're what friendly or they're a threat of some sort. And we use that same sort of thing when we're looking for what we want. We instinctively make a very quick decision about what we're looking at. We kind of size it up to see if it is what it is. And so people are
Mhm.
looking for that information. So if you're a business or a church or a nonprofit, you have to be very careful. And a lot of that is communicated through images and through the words that you choose to use, so that you know that when you have people landing on a website, that they see people like them. They see the product that they're looking for. They see the information that draws them in, and that will, hopefully lower that bounce rate, but also, engage with those customers and turn them into what you want them to be, which is, leads and customers. So
Yeah. I think that that's a great segue into really one of the key points on like how you can start, thinking more about what your first impression is as a company, as a brand. I think that, the term branding has maybe potentially a bad rap or a negative connotation. So I kind of put that the first step really is to know your why. And I think this is such an integral part of marketing when you go through, if you were ever to talk to a marketing consultant, or if you were ever to hire a marketing team, they would have you go through the exercises of like, you know what is your mission statement, who are you, do you know who your audience is, why are they your audience. Some of these kind of sometimes seem like frivolous questions or frivolous um hoity-toity thing,
mhm.
processes to kind of think through, like, why do I need to know this, why do I need to do this, why do I need to think of it in this way. And one of the things that I kind of wanted to create as a first step really for anybody, and I think that you would agree too, is like, you kind of need to know who you are so that you can communicate that well to your audience, and that really shapes like really the rest of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we call it discovery in our process. We
Hmm.
have that phase that's dedicated towards learning about the companies that we work with, the organizations that we work with, and really discovering that why. And from a larger standpoint, we talk about branding, but really what the why is also ties into the messaging aspect of the words that you put on your website. You're conveying your why so that
Hmm.
you build trust with your potential customers.
Hmm.
So, making sure that you think through that, why you're doing what you're doing, is crucial to really getting the difference between a good website and a great website, is that why, and making sure that it's
Yeah.
communicated effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, people who are able to be really successful online are very quickly showing that and stating it concisely. And I think that's a great point.
Hmm.
Um, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that we talked about, kind of tied it in with the second step there, which is knowing your audience,
Hmm.
knowing exactly who your customer is. So you have to know your why, but you also need to understand your customer or your audience's why and what they're looking for, because they're coming there with an intent of some sort, and you need to have the most understanding that you can have about their intent. That's going to create the easiest you're easier to overcome the hurdles to kind of meet their needs. So understanding your audience, understanding your why, understanding your audience's why, is
Hmm.
crucial to kind of increase those conversions, lower those bounce rates, make your product and services better, and really connect with your customer. So you have any thoughts about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I do actually. And I don't really talk about it in this post, but there are other posts that I kind of connect the idea behind, who your audience is and who Google is showing your page to. So I
Yeah.
think that number two really feeds a lot into SEO. And I know SEO can be kind of a scary term for a lot of people. Search engine optimization, search engine marketing would be SEM. And really those things boil down to audience,
Mhm.
really those very complex ideas and the complex processes that goes into optimizing your website boils a lot down to combining your step one is your why, your concise language on what you are and who you are, and who your audience is and what you already know about your audience, so that you can connect your why to those words that help you be seen through SEO. So just kind of connecting those dots a little bit for people. I know this is a very short article, and we have a lot of articles that kind of talk about SEO, and I think SEO is really important, and really connecting as to why SEO is important. I think is helpful here, maybe to help transition people into thinking more holistically about their audience.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking through your SEO approach, your the way that you're going to market yourself that way, you got to understand who your audience is, know how to target them. The better
Mhm.
you can target them, the more productive the money that you put towards that is going to be. So you're going to get that
Mhm.
return on investment quicker. The better you can target them, and you're going to be able to do that better by understanding who they are. So for sure.
Yeah. Well, even not even just from, a cost perspective, but even from like a free perspective, which would be the SEO aspect, like, how high up are you going to be ranked for churches in your area? A lot of that does come down to what is your language on your website, and does that match what people are searching? And so that goes into who your audience is and how they like to search. So all that stuff kind of comes together as, one, your audience, knowing your audience.
Yeah, for sure. The last step we have on here is, hire a good developer, dedicate time to an aesthetically pleasing online presence. And I can't tell you how many times I talk with people who really just don't give it the time that it requires. I understand what it is to run a business, to have to make decisions and do all that sort of stuff, but it's definitely one of the things that needs to be at the top of your list. Dedicating time, thinking through the things that we listed on here. And if you need help with that, looking for help, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help, and finding that good developer who can be someone who can come alongside you and help you make really good decisions about how you present yourself online. But it's crucial that you spend time on that, because if you don't, I know a lot of people who don't just give it the time that it deserves, and their businesses or organizations suffer because of that. So
yeah, and this article is, like I think I mentioned, it's a little bit short. We do have a lot of other articles that you can find on our blog that sort of talks more about these different elements of this topic, the general topic of your website being your first impression. Obviously, we are, a digital agency of sorts. We create websites, we help people with SEO, we do some of these things that we're talking about, but we really do love helping people. And I know that's a little bit of a plug for us specifically, but we really do like helping people, especially churches, especially faith-based organizations. And so, this is a place where you can kind of step off and think, like, is my website a really good first impression for my church, for my organization? Maybe even getting some feedback from people in the church, or people who visit your site. If there's a survey that you can then do, some way to find out, or really think about, am I really meeting these goals? And if you're not, we're happy to kind of walk you through that. Even just have a consultation. We do offer free consultations. You can set up a meeting with us at any time. On our website, you can go to the top of our page, and there's a place where you can find a time and a date to schedule a call. So we do want to help come alongside people who have questions, and even just guide people in directions if they're not sure what steps next to take. So I just wanted to take a little time to say that. And thanks everybody for listening to or watching this video. I hope you gained something from it. Please do go and read the whole thing. It's not super long, but we kind of outlined it for you. If you'd like to keep up with all the content that we're putting out, you can subscribe at the bottom of the page. And yeah, give us a call if you have questions about any of the topics that we mentioned. Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you next time.